Welcome to Pathways to Aviation. It's the final session. It's our closing session for our fourth annual Pathways to Aviation Career Week. And I can't speak for everyone. I can only speak from my point of view, but this has been the most phenomenal week we've had, maybe ever, whether it was in a live format or it was virtual like this. It convinced me that continuing this program in a virtual format on an annual basis is the right approach, because we brought in industry leaders from all parts of the United States in to talk to candidates, students and job seekers just about their career journeys and what they're doing these days, how they're influencing the industry, their passion points, and then certainly all about careers, career advice, where to find jobs, things like that. So that it's just been amazing. And there's no better way to wrap the week than have a conversation about how the week went. And what we're doing in this session is bringing on all of our moderators to have a conversation, but then bring in any other attendee who wants to chime in about reflecting on the week and how it went for them, what they got out of it, some high points, and just have a conversation. Every time we have a conversation on our weekly workshops, it turns into, I don't know, a bazillion ideas, suggestions for improvement or just expansion, and it fosters greatness. And I think we did this the last time we did a workshop series, and we're certainly doing it right now. So what I want to do is, for those who moderated who are on the panel right now, I just want to quickly introduce them, and then we don't have to do elevator pitches and all that, but I'll have a question for you and you guys just all respond in like a conversation format. So just looking around the room, I can't remember who went in whatever sequence, but I'm going to start with Joe because he moderated our pilot careers panel on Tuesday morning. That's Joe Rajacic. And then Caspar Hanak, he moderated our aviation maintenance careers panel yesterday. Peter Madden conducted a live one-on-one interview with the Civil Air Patrol. And then finally, Andrew, he just took a breather just now because he pitched the aviation and airport operations game 1 hour ago and did a phenomenal job. So I want to welcome all you on. We may see other moderators pop in and we'll pin them and get them going. But one simple question. And I might have a series of questions, but one simple question to start is, can you tell me about your experience? Can you just briefly describe your experience and what moderating meant to you? Because how many workshops ago, was it 5 workshops ago, you guys presented the idea of having candidates moderate the panels. So I want to know, did that work for you? But give me just your reflection of your personal involvement as a moderator.
Well, Pete,
I'll start with Joe.
I'm not really a candidate, but if a great flying job came up, I would be a candidate. But I think we all know that whatever we do in life, we always learn something new every day. And these kinds of situations where we're asking questions of leaders in the industry, we all learn something. One of the things that stuck out to me was how hard it is for people to find employees. And it seems like if you have half of a brain, you could get hired today. So when we go through this training with all of our student applicants, they're going to be so far above everybody else that it's going to be an amazing time for them to get hired. I think you guys are going to have your pick. We'll see what happens in a year from now when all of the unemployment runs out and people will be back to work. But still, you know, I've heard and I've read that a lot of people are more interested in staying at home and getting paid than actually working. So those of you who have the good work ethic and want to get out there and pursue your careers, it's going to be it's going to be a thrill for you because you're going to get to pick from who you want to work for. So not only are you interviewing, but like, I think it was it Peter on the last one that said, you know, he wants to tell people about their company and he wants the applicants to ask, what can my company do for you? What is out there for you? So now the ball is in your court. I mean, you guys got, you've got the power now. You guys are going to be in a position to, you know, demand good working conditions and good pay. I was impressed with everyone and how we all learned something. So I think that's the main thing I got out of it.
All right, I don't need to pick on you guys, but I guess we'll go to Caspar next. But you guys just chime in. We know how this rolls.
Yeah, where to start even? So many inspiring moments. I would say the interview that Peter Madden conducted with Susan was just incredible. Just how she presented her career arc and wove in all the twists and turns and how she made the best of them and capitalized on the opportunities was amazing. And then what Andrew also touched on today in his discussion panel was this idea of it's really what you put into it. And I guess Joe kind of touched on that too. You know, there are a lot of people who aren't putting anything into their career dreams. They're staying at home on the couch. I mean, you can't do any less than that. But if you create the opportunities yourself, go to the airports, find the summer internships. It doesn't matter where on the career path you are. If you're in an industry now and you're trying to get into aviation, if you're in school, in college, whatever grade of school, you can create the opportunities where you're at. You just go for it. And I mean, for me personally, a big part of this too was seeing that these people are humans. Like these heavy hitters, sometimes they seem so high above me and like in a different stratosphere, that just being able to talk to them on a one-on-one kind of situation and just, yeah, get into discussion was really inspiring, that I can stay with them and learn something and also just facilitate getting their message, whatever it is about work or a lack of employers or how to get an education in this industry, across all the people that were listening.
Mm-hmm.
You want to come out, Peter? I can do that. You know me.
Yeah, I mean, chime in. This is a conversation.
Well, Mr. Madden, since him and I are kind of like, you know, the same age, same brothers, I think, Peter, you want to chime in on what hit you this week too? Same question.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had the opportunity of speaking with Susan Millette from Civil Air Patrol. And I, of course, am involved with Civil Air Patrol as well. I was, you know, conducting the discussion from the standpoint of a participant from Pathways to Aviation. But nonetheless, having seen the impact that Civil Air Patrol can have in the lives of those on the younger end of the age spectrum, as well as the adult volunteers, right, myself included. You know, I take cadets up in aircraft and get them exposed to the aviation experience, right? Give them firsthand knowledge of all of that. But then also, as Caspar was just touching on, to hear Susan describe, right, her journey, professional journey, right? And the fact that she touched on time and time again, that when life throws you a curveball, you know, you swing as hard as you can. If you hit it, great. If you don't, take the next pitch. You know, the pitches are going to keep coming. So we know, and Joe can probably attest to this as well with the years in the industry that he has, it's cyclical. Things go up, things go down. But the bottom line is that things keep moving forward. I will just give you a little bit of personal insight at this point. Just this last week, I lost my second flight instructor to the regional airlines in the course of about 2 weeks' time. So things are heating up. And for those of you who are at the point where you're trying to make a decision, you know, do I go forward with this? Do I invest the time and the energy and the money to get my foot into the aviation industry? I think your timing is perfect.
Well said. And I'll tell you, one of the outcomes of your interview with Susan is Travis Slagle's son. Travis was one of our panelists with Sierra Nevada Corporation. His son joined the CAP interview, and he's like, Mr. Henry, I want to join CAP. And so I'm getting ready to schedule a meeting with Travis and his wife, Michelle, just for the three of us, because I think when I was a commander, you gotta prepare the parents and the expectations from them. Because sometimes the cadets and the kids will tell them stuff, other times they won't. You know, I've got to be where, I know it's Friday, but I got to be somewhere tomorrow, you know. And but I just wanted to thank you, because you obviously inspired him to seriously consider it. He's 14 years old, and he's going to look at joining the Reno Composite Squadron. So thanks, Peter. You did it. That's just to me, that's what this is all about, changing lives, man. Right?
Absolutely right.
Putting
That
ourselves
makes my
out
day.
there, putting ourselves out there, sometimes as uncomfortable as that might be, the lives we impact, we just don't know at times, but it's great to see it.
I thought it was funny when because we all talk about, or leading up to the workshop, we talked about your background,
right?
And to keep it minimal. And he would have his kid come back and forth, and then he stood in the doorway, and you can look at his reflection in the mirror. I don't know if anybody caught that. I'm like, he is watching this stuff.
Oh, Ansel was
Next thing you know, he's on the next call.
Yeah, and his dad was behind him with his crutches, and I called him and gave him a bad time. I said, "Dude, what are you trying to do? You trying to do the two-legged crutch walk and take the focus away from your son? What's up with you?" No, but it was funny because the kids would come in, and like Peter said, you could see his reflection in the glass or whatever it was. Yeah.
Andrew, how was your experience?
It was a lot. I have a lot to kind of review, and I'll definitely not only watch everyone else's session, because I was pulled away on a family trip this week, so I wasn't able to watch any of them live. So I'll go back and watch them, and then probably rewatch mine to take some notes and stuff. Just kind of a lot to think about, and kind of reinforcing like a lot of stuff that I've like learned outside of like even before this, and then definitely in this. Just kind of that like relationships are key. So like building relationships can often be more important than just having the skills. So that was something that kind of hit home, and also just kind of be ready for anything. And then,
yeah. Don't be surprised if you get a phone call from Florida saying, "Hey, what are you doing this summer?" Like, I think you and Caspar played yourself into potential jobs. I know you did.
Absolutely.
So,
and if you don't call them, shame on you. You know,
yeah, hit them on LinkedIn. Like, they're all going to get a card from me. But
yeah, I already added them on LinkedIn. 2 of them did. I think Lily's just busy because she's expecting. But yeah,
you gotta play the game. But cool. Okay. Having moderators or mentors and candidates serve as moderators, was that the best decision, or should we have just done it with myself and Eric? And I know the answer to that question.
You better, because I worked myself out of a job, buddy. Come on.
So, okay, well, maybe it's a closed-ended question, but I believe that this was the right approach. I think we really that was a recommendation by you guys a few sessions ago, and that was huge.
One thing I can add to that is, you know, Pete and I have been doing this for quite a few years now. And whether we did them in person at a workshop, 4 years, workshops at the airports, or, you know, since April last year going online, what was amazing is your ability to interact with the panelists and draw questions out of them, listen to what the last panelist said. I mean, this is a skill set that you can't train. Okay, I'm just telling you guys, taking the last question that the last panelist said and maneuvering it to ask the next panelist. And I will tell you, I think this is me personally, and I'm a little jaded with the way I think about pathways, of course, since I'm the chairman, is that having you as students and job seekers moderate these panels, we all get more out of it. Because you're in the trenches, you're trying to figure out, okay, I've been to college, okay, I'm gonna redo I'm looking at my next career, you know, what do I go get certifications, or you're in the middle of college and you're like, okay, good golly, what's out there, you know? And the fact that you're moderating it is the most important people to moderate it, because you're going to ask the most prevalent and relevant questions that need to be answered and that other people need to hear and get answers for. So that's my nickel investment, Peter. Pete Parker, Spidey. Sorry, we'll just call him Spidey, and we'll
Yeah, I should just change my name.
we'll refer to Madden as I don't know, maybe Kojak. I don't know. You know what I need to do, Peter, is I need to send you a couple of those lollipops, and you just need to pop one in and go, hey, who loves you, baby? And we know what's going down, you know. So sorry.
And we have others on the call, and it's of course being streamed, and which is pretty cool because we invited a number of schools to participate in this. And I just invite them like, hey, if you want to stream this to your students, go for it. Like, it's on. Like, we can't talk to them directly, but if we can do it indirectly through the educator, then bam, that seemed to work pretty well. But for any others on the live call right now, like, I want to know from all of us, like, any other high points during the week, because for me, I went into each workshop and I was like, okay, this is a big one. Let's do it. And then as the week progressed, it kept getting bigger and bigger. I'm like, how are we able to outdo the previous session? Like, Joe did a killer job, but then Caspar got up to bat and he hit a home run. And then Andrew, like, so were there any other elements of the week that really jumped out? And I'll tell you also, not one single speaker opted out. They all said yes, they came in. Whereas at the Career Symposium, I had to find replacements for 3 speakers within a day's notice. So this time it was like everybody was engaged. It was awesome. So that's kind of my feedback on the key moments. Did anybody else have some key moments aside from what they've already shared?
I think one of the big pluses was having you guys do the interviewing. It's already been said, you know, we got a lot out of it, but I bet you got a lot more. And one of the things that I noticed is, yeah, the interviews went better as the week went on. And you know why? Because you guys had to watch the guys before you to see how to do it. And you were preparing yourselves. You didn't even realize it, but you were going to school to learn how to be the interviewer. And you see how it turned out. It was really good for you. And I don't know if you noticed it, but the whole theme for the entire week from everybody we talked to was how they're getting away from just looking at basic skill, and they're looking at people skills. And depending on your age, some of you are a little bit more in the I could say in the world. You've got a little more experience, where Andrew is a little younger. But do you notice how many people said they're looking at extracurricular activities? So even serving on a soup kitchen, you're talking with people, you're interacting. And you guys don't realize it, but what you just did this week goes on your resume. And this is a big plus. And this is exactly what in fact, today, Peter, the gentleman from American Airlines, said everybody who comes there can fly a plane, but they don't have the people skills. So how do you get them? Well, you do what you're doing this week, or you join a nonprofit, or you do whatever is of interest to you, or that also is in your wheelhouse. Do something with aviation. Go to the airport, see if you could work for free, like was mentioned today, if you can't get an internship. So I congratulate all of you, because I know you all feel better after the week is over. But Pete, I think we should continue this method.
I think it was awesome. When I got the chance to moderate, I ate it up because I missed it. I was sitting here watching all your sessions, and I was able to look at it from a different perspective. As I told Andrew and Caspar when I talked to them before their sessions, I was like, I'm in your back pocket. So at any time I can sense that you're struggling with the next question, I'm going to drop a question on you, because I could see it from a 20,000 foot level, whereas they were kind of zoned in. So that for me was cool. But also when I got to moderate those 2 panels, have those 2 interviews, I mean, I just ate that up. And I think the highlight for me was during my interview yesterday with Choose Aerospace with Crystal. Oh no, excuse me. It was the aircraft maintenance. It was Caspar's panel when Mindy suggested that we reach out to this group called Choose Aerospace and how we need to get involved with them. And I was like, bam, how'd you know that that was our next session? Like, we are embedded. And Joe, when you talk about like joining boards and stuff, I'm on the Choose Aerospace advisory panel or whatever they're calling it for that reason, so that we understand what the curriculum is that we're encouraging students to matriculate through. And so I'm like a serial volunteer or board leader for those reasons. So leveraging student involvement now.
Yep.
Take advantage of that stuff. Get him, and I know Caspar is involved in, I don't know, 500 organizations on campus, or he was at Alfred, but like that speaks volumes for when you go to apply, because they're looking at that as your character.
Yes.
You know, and
absolutely.
so I did that in college, and then it just carried on through life.
Mhm.
And I don't apply. I've only applied for 1 job in my life. All other clients and jobs came in from networking, routinely from volunteering.
Yes.
So I just want to share my experiences.
How does your statement go, Pete? It's not what you know, it's
Well, it's who knows you, but more importantly, who knows of you, right?
yeah, exactly.
So I just want to share that, you know, but I love hearing from you guys. So keep sharing.
I have a question for Andrew. Andrew, did you ever do anything like this before this morning?
No.
So how did you feel? Were you nervous during the presentation? Were you comfortable?
Obviously it was better as it went along, but definitely pretty nervous at the start.
Well, you pulled it off really well.
Yeah.
It's always getting those butterflies to fly in unison, because they're going to be doing this before you get started, you know.
I think what's cool is that you guys have been working with us for however long, right? So I can date back to Peter. I can date back to all you guys, even Joe. And the reason you were invited to be moderators is because you've been with us, you understand our culture, and you've completed our 3-step certification process. And really, it's just a journey where you get to build up your own repertoire, just having us guide the way, you know? And so for anybody else who wants to moderate panels, it's just get involved, participate with us, join our weekly workshops, go through our process, whether you're part of the way or you've completed it. That's how we identify who our candidates are going to be for the workshops. Like, we've already identified and posted our next 16 workshops, weekly, the Wednesday workshops. I'm looking for moderators for every single one of those. There's even a form that I put up on our website for speakers and moderators to complete to let me know where I can slot them in. So we're starting next week. I'm the moderator because I'll be in Hilton Head, and I'm meeting with the Hilton Head Airport's director. So I'm like, I'm on vacation, but I might as well leverage it. Like, let's go to town. And we've hit it off already. And so I'm looking forward to that. But after that, I don't want to be moderator. I want you guys to do them, and any other candidate who comes through our system. So.
Bummer, getting asked to moderate panels that you could put on your resume, but more importantly, meeting industry leaders that might offer you your next job. Golly, Pete, where was this when you and I were growing up?
Well, I mean, but that's what we get all the time, right? And we pretty much created this because we had an issue. We didn't have this stuff when we grew up.
Exactly.
So we're like, let's create it because the demand is there, right? And all these panelists who came on were all screaming the same thing. Like, hiring is back. We can't find the right talent. And soon they're going to say, we can't find the right talent fast enough. And that's why we exist, because we're like aviation and aerospace's career center.
Right. And the question you're gonna have to ask yourself, are you the right talent? You know, and I love what was being said at one of the things with the interviews. I think you guys mentioned it earlier. Interviews are always two-way. They're not interviewing you even so that's how it feels and you're nervous about it. You're interviewing them. Does their culture match me? Is this a place I want to work? Does it have the opportunities for advancement for me to grow with the company? I mean, those are important things you got to ask yourself, you know? And it's great. And I've interviewed hundreds of folks over the years. And I will tell you, I love it when they start pressing in on me and asking things about, hey, what brought you here? Why should I work here? Why is this why do you think this is a good fit for me? Why am I sitting here? I love those kind of questions, because you know something? It tells me they're thinking beyond themselves, looking at everything, not just their individual, hey, I just need money, you know? So anyway, okay, Pete, I'm done again.
No, it's cool.
I go off on these little rants, guys. I appreciate you letting me do that. I appreciate
when I was talking to Andrew yesterday, I'm like, this is the one time where you actually get to interview them. Like they're interviewing for your job, almost position it like that. So they're in the hot seat. And I don't know if that helped or not, but that's kind of how I look at it. You know, like this is that one moment, because you're always the interviewee. Now they're the interviewee. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
You know, Pete, another aspect about looking for moderators for the next several weeks is you can think of this moderating position you had for the last hour as akin to going on an interview, because it was something you haven't done. You were a little bit nervous. You started doing it, and then it went pretty darn well. And you could think back on that later on when you actually start interviewing for a job, and it'll make you feel like, oh, I was able to moderate fine. I'll be able to sit in this interview even better. All good experience.
What do you guys think about that? Being a moderator is giving you interview experience. What do you guys think? Yay, nay?
Absolutely. It's a great opportunity to learn how to think on your feet, right? And to sense the dynamics of the conversation and sort of lean into those dynamics, right? And build off those dynamics and craft the conversation. And that's exactly what you're going to do in an interview setting.
Perfect. Andrew, Caspar, what do you guys?
I agree with that. I haven't had a lot of interviews, but I'm sure that's pretty much how I'll feel during them as well.
Well, and I know we have. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I would echo what Peter and Andrew were just saying, and I also feel like just that conversational piece, it makes you learn that in a professional setting, the caliber of individual that you want to be working with. Like I personally come out of a plumbing background, so I'm very good at shooting the breeze with the guys around the cooler, but then so weave a narrative and say things eloquently and take your time and pace yourself and come across, you know, with just that normal confidence, you know, that's not over the top. It's really helpful in that sense too. So yeah, confidence booster across the board.
Well, and you know, Caspar, one of the things a mentor of mine told me years ago, probably close to 25 years ago, because, you know, sometimes you get intimidated by people, right? Hey, I'm talking to Darren. He's the CEO and president of Reno Tahoe Airport Authority, and that's an international airport. And they do a lot of cargo here and all this stuff, and you can get a little intimidated. He told me one time, he goes, Eric, when they eat chili, they get gas too. So don't worry about it, okay? You know? And you're just like, yeah, I had to think, I'm like, dude, that was a weird comment. And then I'm like, yeah, they're just like anyone else, you know? So anyway, well said.
Your points are so true. I know we have a couple guests on the call right now, like Chandra's from Embry-Riddle and Aaron's from St. Louis University. And I don't know if they get this kind of coaching on their campuses. I hope they do, or I hope they take advantage of it. But I'd be curious to know if this was of value to them this week, because I'd love to get them into our program and other students like them to help guide them to greatness. I mean, we've got a big chore, and we're part of the huge industry that needs the right talent. And employers are really starting to come to us either formally through our subscription program or informally just by calling me and saying, hey, who do you got? They're calling, and we don't place, we just connect, you know? And so I love to hear what others have to say.
Well, Chandra unmuted himself, so I think he's ready to roll. There he goes.
Honestly, I didn't participate in the first few days. I just participated today, and I felt really good. And I believe this is one of the platforms where I wanted to be, and I want to learn from people in the industry. And I haven't had any conversations with the industry leaders yet, and I'm very passionate about the industry. Right now, in the previous meeting, as you see, Swaroop, he's in Purdue University. He's my bachelor's friend back in India. He suggested me to join this Pathways program, and I couldn't manage to participate in the first few days. I'm really feeling bad for that, but I believe, as you said, as Mr. Pete said, in the coming weeks we have few more workshops. So I would like to join those meetings and workshops as well, and I would like to learn from industry leaders as you said, being a moderator. I'm interested in doing that as a being a moderator, and also I'm in the Toastmasters club. So I usually participate in Toastmasters every week. So I learned these skills of being moderator and, just communicating with people across the US. It's all about improving myself. And I believe this is the platform where I wanted to be, and looking forward for future workshops and meetings as well. And also, as you said, in the Embry-Riddle, we don't have any of these kind of things, but we do have this virtual career fairs, and we have different clubs. And I'm a member of a Business Aviation Students Association club, where we can meet people from the NBAA, as you all know, National Business Aviation Administration. So recently we had a workshop. It's not like a workshop, just an overview about the Central Florida Business Aviation Association, and I'm planning to be part of that club as well. So apart from that, we do have different clubs in the campus, but not like these. And I'm really looking for mentors to guide me through. I'm kind of stuck, like where I wanted to be in the future. I got different skills, but I can't narrow down where should I go. Like, I just want some kind of perspective in the industry. Like, this is where I'm right fit for the job. This is what my goal should be. So I'm just looking for the mentorships, kind of mentors who can guide me through the process in the industry. So
Perfect.
looking
Chandra,
forward
that's
to join the future meetings.
Yep. Well, the best thing to do, my friend, is get to know Peter, Caspar, and Andrew, and they can help you figure out how to register with Pathways, and then we'll get you on your path to finding that dream job or whatever it is that drives your passion. So it's exciting. My son just graduated a year ago from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University with a cybersecurity degree. You're in a great place, my friend. Incredible school, incredible talent, incredible connections. When they say they can help you with 93%, they have 93% placement, we can help you get to there too. So it's all exciting, my friend. Thanks for commenting.
Yeah, and I'll actually just describe the process for anybody else watching. Just go to our website, and you've been there, right? So click on the register as a new user button. It's in the upper right. Just click that, and it's done. A career profile will be created for you. Fill out that career profile, share your career interests. What else is there, guys? There's a bio that you can type out, and then you can identify your soft skills. And if you don't know how to do that, there'll be a little designation that just says soft skills. It's hyperlinked. We have videos, we have articles that you can read and watch to help you identify what soft skills that you might be missing. You may have identified a few, but you might be missing. Put those in there. I track everything, and then we get you going. And a notice to our current candidates, I've been talking to our software developer, and like you, he suggested that we pretty it up a little bit. So there will be some enhancements, but just to let you know that. But that's the process. So go through that process, and we'll totally get you embedded. And then, yeah, and there's more than just moderating. So there's more to it, but it's a path that we encourage everybody to take.
Yeah, it's a really great platform to be, and I'm looking forward to join the future workshops.
Cool.
and I'll keep in contact with you guys.
Perfect.
Chandra, what is your major?
My major is I did my bachelor's in aerospace engineering, and right now I'm doing aviation and aerospace management in my graduate studies.
Great.
Outstanding.
So you can always contact Pathways, and we have a list of mentors all over the country to help you with any questions you have on your career or what to do next.
I don't know about this pathways before to this workshop. Recently, my friend, as I said, Swarup just mentioned about this pathways in a conversation, the phone call. Then I got to know about this, and here I am today. So I'll be here in the future workshops, and I don't want to miss anyone.
Good for you.
So another question, just to keep this conversation going for another minute, and I always ask this, but and I don't want to pick on ourselves, but what else would you like to see us add? And this is for all of us. What else would you like to see us add to make either like this week even more valuable? Whether it's more workshops, which I like the 2 a day a lot more than the 4 a day, but are there like what other ways could we make this experience even like more valuable for you or other candidates?
Well, Pete, I think you know what I'm going to bring up, and that is to have the experts in the field be interviewed by the people on the call. Because I think a lot of people don't know what the day-to-day work is, what the lifestyle is. I've had so many people ask me, well, what's it like to be an airline pilot? What's it like? What's your schedule? How do you know where you're going to fly? What kind of airplanes? How do you choose which airplane? How much time off do you have? What was it like when you first got hired? You know, where did you have to live? Did you have to move? That's only from a pilot perspective. We could do the same thing with engineers. Marlis could say, you know, what is her day like? Does she use calculus 5 hours a day? Those are the things people may want to learn now. So if they're still thinking about which career goal to go to, that may make a little bit of a difference in what they choose. Those of them who already know what they want, at least they can now anticipate and maybe be in a better position once they get the job.
Yeah, Pete, I'll echo what Joe just said. That's been a suggestion that I've made in the past as well. I think sort of lifting the veil, right, and allowing folks to peek behind the curtain and get a sense of what the day in, day out life is going to be like for position XYZ, whether it is in engineering or whether it is in airport operations or whether it's a flight attendant or whether it's a corporate pilot or a 121 pilot. What's the difference? How do I choose? I mean, hearing from individuals that are in that seat, right, 5 days a week, and being able from an audience member's perspective to post a question that then gets filtered through a moderator perhaps, right, but gets presented to the panelists so that, you know, I can get my particular burning question addressed.
Okay, I like those ideas. Where my mind goes is we like to keep them to 1 hour
Right.
periods. So, and it's clear that I like the number 3, right? Because every one of our panels had 3 guests. So maybe there are 2 guests, which opens up time for those questions. And if they're not asked by the audience, then our moderator, you know, we'll pick on Andrew. He can ask these specific questions like, all right, CEO, what's it really like? Like, what is your day like? Who are you interfacing with? You know, what's taking most of your attention? Are you able to get your work done because you're interfacing with employees or whatever? So maybe we just shrink it to 2, which buys us a little, or, you know, gets us a little bit more time to ask those questions.
I like it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's you know, basically you're just really you're asking what's the day, what's your lifestyle like, You know, is it a bunch of garbage that it's 8-hour days when you're really working 10-hour days? Come on, you know? And I think that's part of being real, and being able to ask those kind of questions really gives some insight to what the life is like, you know? Because it's, you know, because when, yeah, so yeah, I like those ideas, guys. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's fun coordinating all this. It's also stressful because, and this is the first time, but you always wonder, like, I just figured if I recruited 3, 1 will back out, which leaves us 2. But darn it, they're not backing out like they did in the past. And I think they're all becoming familiar with us and thinking to themselves, I have to be on this panel because it's Pathways to Aviation. Whereas before they're like, oh, what's Pathways to Aviation? So more stress for me, way more exciting. But it also might mean we add a 3rd panel. Like the one thing we changed this time was we dedicated days to top or areas. Right. And it worked, right? Day 1 was like opportunities for your underrepresented. And then each day, pilots to aerospace, to aircraft, to operations. I really wanted operations for 2 or 3 years. I finally put it in and it worked. So maybe we continue that thread, but maybe add another session or maybe something else. So good feedback. Thank you.
Pete, I think a suggestion may be that we allow the questions to continue after the hour mark. And those that want to stay on can. Those that don't, when the hour's up, they leave. If it's that interesting, people are going to have more and more questions. And if I were the person they were asking, I would stay on as long as they wanted. As long as you wanted, Pete.
Well, and we had this idea of doing breakouts. So I created breakout rooms for all of our panelists, but we didn't use a single one. So maybe one of our approaches could be we cushion in another hour. So we have 1 at 9, 1 at noon. Or it's later in the day, right? I did it during the day intentionally for schools to stream to their kids. So we can book it as a 2-hour session, but it's 1 hour. It's a 1-hour session with some extension, that kind of thing to continue the conversation.
I've never thought that's not a bad idea. It's just hard sometimes because, again, you know, it's like when you teach a class or you teach a seminar, there's almost so much time this can handle with your butt sitting in a chair. And it's an attention span thing. And the last thing Pete and I talk about, Joe, I'm happy you brought that up. Pete and I talk about this all the time. And a lot of it is everyone's seeing talking heads now. Okay. And the question is, when have we lost this ability to communicate and where it's meaningful for the participants? So, you know, it's something I think we should talk about all the time just to see what makes the most sense and what's effective. And this is where we need to garner feedback from you guys, because you're there and you could just say, hey, Eric, this really sucks. Or Eric, 15 extra minutes would have been perfect, you know? So, and that way I can manage Pete's stress levels.
Another thing to consider is if you can whet the appetite, right, during the symposium, and then say, hey, you know, we have discussions like this, right, weekly, with industry leaders, with representatives from industry, et cetera, right? And if you attend the sessions, right, then you can get some additional face time with these folks. So just an idea.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I agree. You know, yeah, exactly. You sure you don't have a sales background, Peter?
Now he does.
Sounds like the closer to me.
Yeah. I kept thinking through these sessions that I kept looking at chat and I was like, why couldn't that chat stream be jobs actually offered by our panelists companies streaming through? Like, I was like, I want that. You know, how do we make that happen? Because we work with JS Firm and we didn't utilize them for this series, but maybe we bring them back, but it's in a scroll for all the jobs that are available at those 2 or 3 companies, so that when we extend the conversation, they can become a little bit more specific. Hey, I see you have an aerospace director job. Can we talk more? What's going on there? Can we talk more about that? Like, I would love to see like that kind of activity.
Pete, I'd be a little afraid that they'd be watching the scroll and not listening to the speaker.
So true, so true.
And that's,
But
and
there
that-
wouldn't be
yeah,
there wouldn't be a ton of jobs.
no,
Now during Caspar's session there were, because I don't know how many was it. Caspar Duncan was offering 75 jobs,
right.
and then Advanced said they
Yes.
had 3.
Well,
Yeah.
Right. So I have a question to bring up to the job seekers, and Pete and Eric already know this because I've been trying to push for this for years, but I want to see what your take is. Do you think this would be advantageous? And I'm only going to talk about one career, and even if this is not of interest to you, just pretend it is. Let's say that you wanted to be an A&P mechanic. What would you think of having as part of our hour a 5-minute or a 7-minute video where we get to video an actual A&P mechanic doing his job, talking to you about what he's doing, maybe 2 or 3 different types of A&P mechanic work? Would that be that much better than us just talking about it?
Caspar got excited. I saw him move his
Caspar
hands
liked
around
it.
out there and a bird flew
Yeah.
over his head.
The only problem is there's a cost involved with doing the video, and we don't have the thousands of dollars required, and it would only be one video. So if we had to do a series, we're talking about money, money, money.
Yeah, but it's just as simple as going over to Advanced Aviation and interviewing Larry Crapo with yourself.
And I would love to do that. I think Pete wants more of a professional look to the entire presentation, because obviously people are going to be seeing this on YouTube and everywhere. So that's kind of our dilemma. Do we do it on the cheap just so you could see it? Or do we only do a few because we can only afford to do a few really well?
Well, that's an internal question. Peter, Caspar, and Andrew, what do you guys, and Chandra, you can chime in too, and Aaron if you want. What would you think if you saw a 5-minute video of a aircraft mechanic doing his work, describing it, what he does during the day, and keeps it to 5 minutes and less? Would that be a benefit, just to kind of get an idea of, hey, so that's what these guys do?
I'm putting myself in the shoes of like a high school kid who has heard, okay, so I can do mechanics. Okay, so what exactly does a mechanic do? What does that look like day in and day out, right? So putting myself in that person's shoes, yeah, that'd be gold.
Okay. Aaron,
One
what do you got, Aaron?
Yeah, I think it'd be a great idea. I know for a lot of the students that I work with, a lot of times it's just the visual piece for them, just wanting to see something, or, that they can identify themselves with. Yeah, just to kind of motivate them a little bit, to kind of stir up that passion. So I think that'd be a great idea.
Cool. Chandra?
I guess if we can't do the video, 5 to 7 minute short video, have you considered doing the podcast? That would be, I guess that would be one of the good choice. Instead of having these meetings, we can have these meetings, but if we can't afford to have these meetings, then we can try bringing in some students and employers or people who are working out their industry and letting them connect through podcasts. The students will ask the questions to the people who are working in the industry, and then we can just post these podcasts. We can just spread these podcasts through university websites or where people want to see the most. Like if I'm student, I usually go through my university portal every day and see what's going on in the university. So if we can make it pop up in the university webpage, they can just go through like pathways to the aviation. In the sense, it is obviously a puzzle trigger for them, or they'll just sort of interested in it, what's going on in the pathways to aviation. If we can make it post there, then they can just directly go through, and we can get more viewers, and we can get more kind of questions from students, and I guess that would help. What do you think?
Something to look at for sure.
This is great because it's achievable. And my thought right now, Joe, and as pretty as we want it to be. This is
Actually,
where what's that?
sorry to trouble you. Actually, I'm planning to do this podcast. I have this speaking trouble before coming to US, and I'm not native speaker, so I usually have this problem. So to overcome this, I'm planning to start a podcast or some sort of video interviews with the people working in the industries. I guess this Pathways to Aviation is one of the good platform. We can collaborate and we can work our way to industry or people who are working in the industry, and we can just bring in some students who are having questions or having doubts about their career in the aviation, and they'll have a lot of questions about the industry. And if we know someone who is working in the industry where the student wanted to be in the future, we can just both collaborate them in the podcast or in the video interview. They'll just have the he can ask the questions and the guy on the opposite side and answer the questions, so that students will benefit more.
Okay. No, this is great. We'd be happy to collaborate. We love collaborating with schools, student groups, the entire industry. So that's awesome. And Joe, I think we have a solution. We can do this in our workshop series at 4:00 on Wednesdays. We can extend our current series, right? The one I have going to September 15th. We can throw in there a company where we go in and do the broadcast from there. It would be more than 5 minutes. We can have a conversation with them to our audience. I mean, we can make this work. I mean, I wanted to try it. I want to try it next week when I'm at Hilton Head Airport and bring them in. It's like, what's airport operations about? Show me your office and things like that. So I think there's a solution. We got it. And that the price point, that we can worry about that later.
Yep.
What I wanted to share also is that, like, I know Aaron's on here and he is all about careers, and that's what he does at St. Louis. So we need to talk, but we're an opportunity for them not only to provide resources to their current students, but I also want to work with St. Louis's admission staff to help drive students to them so that Aaron has more people to work with. But if we can drive more students to St. Louis and other schools like it, like we had Embry-Riddle this week, we had PIA, we had Cal Aero. Next time we better have St. Louis, where they're sharing what's happening on their campus, but at the same time, we're a resource to them because he may not be able to hit every student. And we believe in the power of 3. So like a student's parents may say, hey, do you have a resume? And the student blows them off. And then Aaron will come and be like, hey, how's your resume look? And the student may say, whatever. And when we come in and they're like, this is a brilliant idea. Yes, thank you for suggesting that I write a resume, when he's already heard it 2 or 3 times. So we could be a resource to Aaron and staffs like his to help the students, because ultimately we're working together to help these individuals pursue their passions. So I just wanted to put that out there. It's also towards the end of the hour, and I want to close at 1 or at the 0 mark. Any thoughts? Cool. Oh, we lost Caspar. No. Caspar is like, this is a candidate, a moderator who decided to become an AmeriCorps and drive to Montana. Seriously, I bet it was 20 seconds after yesterday's workshop to start driving to Montana, and he's pulled over on the side of the road just to talk to us. I mean, that's a commitment, baby.
And I'll tell you, Caspar, way to work for AmeriCorps. One of my son's best friends did a lot of work for AmeriCorps the last few years, helping out with everything from firefighting to recovery after the floods and stuff like that. So hats off to you, my friend. That's great work. Desperately needed work too.
All right. I'm going to start to close this out, and I guess it's another invitation to Aaron, but we go to our website. I have it on a menu item. It's called Attend a Workshop. Find that. It's under events. It's all over the place. It's also on our main page. You'll see all the workshops we have through September 15th. And so right now we're looking for moderators. So those are our candidates, but we're also looking for speakers. So Aaron, if you want to go in there and talk about what you're seeing in students today and opportunities for them on the back end that you're hooking them up to, we'd love to have you come in and be our guest speaker, right? It's also a way to brand your university. So if you want, I'll send you a link and you can just pick a day, or you can go through the list and call me up and be like, hey, Pete, I want, May 26th. But that's an invitation to anybody, watching the live or the recorded version, is that we have speaking opportunities for any industry leader who wants to share advice, share their career journey. It's more mentorship than it is anything else. But if you will find your hire in our audience, I guarantee you. I know that today there are 3 individuals who found something in Andrew. Yesterday, there were 3 who definitely found something in Caspar. So it creates that opportunity to find hires. And if you're the moderator, to get hired. So just putting that out as we're about to close, but those dates are already up. You candidates who are on the call, go ahead to our website, main page, scroll down, you know the drill, click RSVP, because what happens then is you get an email with the Zoom link, the private Zoom link, and you're all set. And then, because I'm excited for this next series, and it's going to go to October. What I don't believe will happen is I do not believe we will have a series like this in October. Last year was a one-off because all the other conventions shut down. And so we stole NBAA's dates with their permission, of course. But there are so many conventions this fall. There's no way we can properly create an experience like this in the fall, because already I'm doing ATEC, NBAA, CAA, like there's a bazillion of them. So it's impossible for us to bring value if we're not coordinating the right way. Any kind of parting thoughts?
I just want to say it's still a pleasure to be here. I'm learning a lot. It's great meeting new faces, connecting with you all, and just learning, so I can, be of a better assist to students I'm working with. And yeah, this is really good stuff. I'm really enjoying it. Feel really welcome too. So that's a plus.
Yeah. And we want your students, right? So, because together we can make this happen. Yes. And because what they lack maybe is confidence and knowing that they can achieve this stuff. And we can do that together. It's your job, but if we can provide value to you and your students, it's going to make you look like gold to the university. They're going to say, wow, Aaron was the right man for this job because he's killing it. So we want to help you out too. All right, I'm going to start getting fired up, so I need to close this out soon. But any other parting thoughts? Wow, everybody's so quiet.
All right, Peter, I'll give a parting thought.
That's okay. A surprise.
So you said we might be able to do, say, one of these sessions from Advanced Aviation talking about their A&P program or what they have to offer. What if we incorporated that with 3 up-and-coming students? What if they could attend with us, and then we have instant questions from the students for the A&Ps or for the manager of the operation? I'm sure we could find 3 students in Reno that would attend with us.
Yeah, and Joe, let me extend that thought. So I had a vision, Peter. You said that you met up with Catherine at some CAP thing. That's where you hooked up. That's the wrong term. Professionally hooked up. I mean, I had this vision one night of you guys doing a broadcast from like a CAP meeting or some like the office or whatever the center looks like. Like I had that moment where I was like, why wouldn't we just gift you the workshop? And while we're still going to talk about our topic, and the topic that night might be, interview preparation tips, right? Because we have like 13 or 14. Right. So we're still going to address that. And then we just hand it to you and Catherine, and then you do this bit. Same for Caspar. Caspar could be at RIT working in the shop or whatever. And he's like, all right, Pete, hand it over to me. I got this. Let me show you what my experience as a student is like at our RIT, right? That kind of a thing. Andrew could take it to Purdue, and he could be hanging out with the Aero Club or whatever group he's with, and they can have a meeting, and they're doing a live broadcast from their meeting. I am totally open to ideas like that, Joe, that could work. So if we do it from Advance or any one of our other employers,
Right.
You could literally hand the show over to them and they could do whatever they want. 3 guests, 1 guest, a walkthrough, whatever it is, because all that is going to be exposed to anybody on the call. And even if it's not their thing, they're going to learn.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We ought to have
Good
a
idea,
little-
guys. What do you think?
Yeah.
Peter, Andrew, Chandra. Chandra's in. Aaron's just excited. I can tell that by the way it is not when you're
It's a good idea.
this.
One suggestion, not to draw this out too far, but just to get past the technical snafus we might run into, is to just have a recorded session, right, Pete? And then you play that right during the session. That way you eliminate, any sort of technical issues that you might run into.
That's a very real worry. I get nervous about recording too much, but I want to approach this whole next series a little bit differently. So we typically air a video on Mondays.
Right.
I want to do it the day after our workshops on that Thursday. So like today, this morning at 5:30, I taped another video. So that'll be the May 26th video. So I'll air it on the 20th. That's not me, Eric.
Not me.
Yeah, control your environment, Eric. That's a tip.
Well, I can just kick Joe. I can just kick Joe out right now. See, that's the thing. You guys just got to give me a little more authority here. And someone pulls that thing, they're out. Oh, he just shut himself out. Okay.
But Peter, to your comment, I'm going to want to coach ahead of time or meet in advance. Do a test run through, even if it's on that previous Tuesday. Just do a quick run through to make sure that the internet on your end is cool and that we're in sync and that sort of thing. Kind of like what I've done with Andrew and Caspar this week. Just had like hey, let's just touch base. But really, it was a coaching session, but also to test out the audio visual. So that's a great point because that is a big fear.
It is. And Pete, you and I've talked about this. We've talked about putting a training video together on Zoom and really getting something simple for the Zoom etiquette, what to expect if you're running it, what you can do, what you have controls over. Because I'll tell you, when we started this last year, we attended a couple nationwide Zoom meetings where they didn't pay for the $14. They got the free version. And there were some very vulgar, for some people, songs being played and noises in the background. And you could see the person in charge of the Zoom meeting trying to shut it all down. So, but I think, Pete, if you and I can do what we talked about, is just doing like a Zoom etiquette meeting, how to run Zoom, how to be effective at it. Because, something I've muted people before, and, I know sometimes feelings are hurt, and I get that, but, we're here for the greater good, not for an individual to feel great about themselves. Fair enough? Yes?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for that. I apologize. I already have more calls with schools after this session, so I have to go. But
finally, you and I cannot see each other for an hour. This is
yeah. So if anybody has any parting comment, cool. If not, then I'll let Eric, I was gonna say Joe. Sorry, Joe. Let Eric take us out.
we good, guys? Caspar, anything? You're good? Just give me the thumbs up.
Again, the opportunity to moderate and giving us all the latitude that we had with it was an awesome opportunity.
Awesome. Aaron, you good? Andrew, Mr. Purdue, there you go. Give us a thumbs up. Dude, I like the hair, man. You make me jelly because you got that wave thing going. I don't know. Chandra, so excited that you're here. We good? Mr. Madden, we good? Joseph, any other parting comments there, my friend?
No, just put up 3, 2, 1.
You got it. Hey guys, thank you for your investment. Appreciate it. And thank you for your ideas and some suggestions and to be able to participate. And this is huge. I'm a big fan of doing postmortem times after presentations because I think that's where we learn the most and we can appropriately make the changes needed. So sounds great. You guys have a great week. We're out of here in 3, 2, 1. Have a great week, guys.